All right, so crow's foot is super complex at first, but let me break it down for you easy so you can understand it. Now, check this out. All right, so all the crow's feet that we're going to talk about today are actually called endpoints, right? So endpoints are going to be what are actually connecting to the tables and what they represent. There's 4 different main types we have. First one is going to be optional one. Second is going to be mandatory one. Third is going to be optional many. And then fourth is going to be mandatory many. So when you design a database, every relationship you draw between 2 tables has the rules about how many records are allowed on each side. So just like in Power BI or another application, you can see what connects each table in what manner. So these rules are shown by using crow's foot endpoints. There are only 4 of them, so some endpoints are mandatory because the business rules require the relationships to exist. For example, every department must have a director, so that side is one-to-one. Others are optional because the relationship isn't always guaranteed, like an employee who may or may not have a parking spot, which is 0-to-1. The many endpoints work the same way. A customer can place many orders, but depending on the rules, it might be optional, so 0 and N, or required, 1 and N. And you set these rules in 2 places. First, visually in the ERD diagram, and then physically in a database. But just to recap, 0 and 1 is going to be the optional one, so someone may or may not have a parking spot. Mandatory one is someone that will have a director. Optional many is someone that can make multiple orders, right? So on Amazon, doesn't mean you have to make orders just because you have an Amazon account. And then mandatory many is some purchase that you do have to make more than one of, right? So that's where we have mandatory many. All right, so let's go on to the next slide just so you can see all the different types explained thoroughly. All right, so these are the different combinations I was talking about. At the end of the day, every relationship has 2 ends, right? Each end defines the table's attributes and what it stands for, defined by the cardinality here. And each one shows one of the 4 symbols that we saw on the previous slide. So here, 1 to 4 are kind of defined, right, individually. And then 5 to 8, we have them defined in a relationship format too. So it's 1-to-1. We have optional 1-to-1. We have optional 1, and then mandatory many, and then many-to-many as well. But just to explain it a little bit more, so optional 1 is going to mean 0 or 1 related record may exist. Mandatory 1 is exactly 1 related record must exist. So think of like your customer ID or your social security number, right? Optional many means 0, 1, or many related records may exist. So what if you don't have an Amazon account? You have 0, or you have 1 account. And then you could also have many accounts associated to your name because you have multiple emails. It's all possible. Mandatory many is at least 1 related record must exist, similar to mandatory 1, right? But this one is plural, so this could be at least 1, but multitude. 1-to-1 is both sides must have exactly 1 related record. So similar to the driver's license example I had in one of the previous videos, optional 1-to-1 is going to be both sides are optional if linked 1-to-1. Optional 1 and mandatory many is one side is optional and the other must have 1 or many. And then many-to-many, as we know, is both sides have many. It requires a bridge table as we talked about before. All right, so these 8 combinations represent every real-world scenario you're going to have when designing databases. So the goal is to really truly understand what these crow's feet truly represent so that you can understand the database architecture without having to go in and research it. You already know just by looking at the database schema. With that said, hopefully this video helped you out a lot. Let me know your thoughts down below, and thanks for watching.